Hello and welcome back to the Warra Football Podcast. Here with me today, we have a debut in Toby. How are you doing?
Mate, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm happy.
Big signing.
I'm happy to replace the man that,
Well, yeah, obviously we have to address the elephant, and boy, he is the size of one. In the room, Dill obviously not going to be with us. We don't know for how long. Obviously, the extenuating circumstances can't really go into that. But yeah, Dylan's not going to be here. We do have Karis.
I do think he did it, by the way.
He's fucked.
He's the type.
And the allegations
He
are
looks
strong.
like one.
Yeah, I've always had a weird feeling about him.
He does look like one.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, we should probably stop talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, it is all,
Hush.
we can't
allegations.
We can't go into that. We've also got Curtis, another Chelsea fan.
Up the Chelsea.
Yeah,
man.
Obviously, Dan.
I've just double Chelsea won Man United on a Champions League podcast. We're flying.
We are flying.
Yeah, and obviously Dano.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, how are you?
Warra Football Podcast, Warra Football Podcast, Warra Football Podcast. Oh. We got Gary, we got Cora, Darren and Curris, Toby and Jimbo, Darren and Grimbo, Warra Football Podcast, Warra Football Podcast. Don't forget Harry, Football Podcast. Harry behind the camera. Warra Football Podcast. Does a lot of work for us. Football Podcast. We up the Warra. But so this week we're going to be talking about Champions League, obviously, and again, your clubs aren't in it, but that allows you to be unbiased. It allows you to, really look at it with a fresh mind.
Indeed.
Unlike me, as an Arsenal fan, we're definitely winning the Champions League. It's 100%.
Not a Napoli fan this week.
Or a Barca fan.
Both. No, not Barca. No,
Make your mind up.
Barca can suck themselves.
Right.
That's just random kit.
They can suck themselves. But Arsenal, I said it at the start of the season as well. I said we won't win the league, but we'll win the Champions League. I think.
Why are you so confident in that? Because that on the face of things is a bit wild.
As an Arsenal fan, it's very wild.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? Before even the Community Shield, I had this feeling, just it's gonna happen, right? So, gut feeling first of all, but second of all, obviously the Community Shield, we played well against City. Havertz, I mean, this is one of the things, we miss loads of chances, and that in Champions League can cost you. But Havertz, if he had scored his chances, we would have been 2-0 up against City. But generally speaking, we had the much better game. Cole Palmer obviously scored a great goal, but it's one moment. The game against them at home as well, similar thing. Obviously, again, we get a lucky goal like Trossard's in the Community Shield, but we played well and got the win. Liverpool recently is another example of it. Obviously, even away at Liverpool, obviously we could have lost, but I think actually easily we could have been 3-4-0 up even early on. It's just about taking those chances. And I know that has been a problem. That's the one thing where I have a bit of doubt, but I'm confident that it's just going to come off.
So as an Arsenal fan, you actually do think you can win Champions League?
I think we can, yeah.
Do you not think no Kevin or no Salah in those wins was a bit of a factor as well?
Not Salah, because
I think they'd be better without, yeah.
Well, it's just that, even when he was there at Anfield, he scored off the back of a Zinchenko mistake, and he was better in that game. Maybe that's because Salah wasn't there, but also even his shot probably should have been saved, arguably by Ryan.
I think Kevin's a game changer though.
Kevin,
as a hate
especially
watcher,
against us,
as a hate watcher of football in the recent years with us being shit. Kevin's a nice little. Liverpool and Arsenal fans are sweating. They're shitting themselves because he does destroy us. Arsenal he's got a bit of a drop gene about him.
But even De Bruyne, City without De Bruyne are better than most teams in Europe.
They probably are the best team in Europe.
So
when you add De Bruyne, it's so.
As long as you don't draw City, even if we do draw City, I still think we've got a chance.
See, this is my actual worry. I don't agree with you that Arsenal win the Champions League because I think ultimately you'll find a way to bottle. The DNA of the club is that strong that even last year you could be 8-9, you could be 4 points clear on the last day of the season.
We could have our dick in it, and we wouldn't have the balls to fuck.
That's a good analogy. I think that's a good way of putting it.
Big up Jeff.
It's a peep show. I don't know this because this season you're not as good in terms of going forward, but defensively I think you're more solid. And Champions League is usually one of the defenses. Obviously we know.
Yeah, you would know. We would know.
It's game management, isn't it?
Yeah, but Tuchel's Chelsea were
even
very solid.
when we got to the final, it was built off the back of a great defence. So we'd know about that. Just bottled it
even
again.
Sol scored in the final, and the attacker he didn't turn up, did he? But
actually played well. Just bottled his chances. But.
Yeah.
What a bottle man.
So I think that could be a big difference.
Seeing a good ref as well.
And I know you touched on them playing City. I just think that's a good thing. Like, if you look historically at when English clubs collide, it's usually the underdog that goes through. Yeah. Us versus the Invincibles, we went through.
Yeah.
Liverpool, we were superior to them. They knocked us out. Spurs against City.
Yeah.
Liverpool against City, 2018.
Us beating
City in the
final.
In the Champions League final. In general, Chelsea United is probably the only like equal game where the teams are like kind of level. So it was,
but then historically, we've always like us United at Chelsea, like we've always bottled those. I think Liverpool as well. Like we lost. We had like we're competitive with them, and it was a really good game. I think we lost.
Walcott had a big break, didn't he?
Yeah. So that is, but you know, it's the thing. Like you kind of got to get, as a fan, you've got to get your hopes up, and you've got to like. I don't believe we'll win the Premier League because that's more about maintaining it over 38 games. And when you've got like Liverpool back to form, when you've got City, especially, like, I mean, people they've not been as good this season, but they always kind of start slower in the second half of the season. They're just ridiculous.
So you're basically saying you think that Arsenal got a better chance at the Champions League because
much better.
in big games they're more likely to turn up than be consistent in the Prem.
Yeah.
I get that. I just don't think in terms of the gaffer and the squad.
Now, maybe
I just don't think you've got the minerals to win it.
Yeah, I think two of your players have the minerals in Havertz and Jorginho. Naturally. Because they've done it. They've done it.
Of course they've done it. They've done it.
Jorginho's got a Champions League tattoo on his arm with blue ribbons on it. So he has been there, done that.
Your midfielder apparently.
But it's interesting.
Blue for Napoli.
It's an interesting one with you. I do think there's maybe an element of.
Do you think they can?
I think they can win it. Like game management, big game management. Arsenal control games a hell of a lot better this season. I think he needs to give up playing Rice in the six. That drives me insane. Play Jorginho or Partey when he's fit.
Well, that's the thing. In the big games, we've genuinely played those two, and it's in those big games
so much better. I don't even know why that sentence exists. You're better with him there, so play him there. I don't know.
And also there might be an element of like, have you hit form at the right time? Like last year, it was all very early and then a big drop off. Whereas that Liverpool game could be a bit like when City kind of it clicks in February and then they go away. And maybe this year you've kind of.
Why are you encouraging me? I'm going to get carried
away. That's just how I see it. Like, look, I can breathe if you go out, I can breathe and enjoy the Champions League.
And we will to Porto.
And while you're there, I'm like, get them out, and then I can enjoy the Champions League.
The thought of Arsenal winning the Champions League
wouldn't rule it out.
Makes me feel sick.
But you've got two, so you'd still.
They might just run it back.
But I still don't want you to ever win anything.
No, ever.
Especially that. Or that and Europa. I'm like, that's funnier. The longer it goes, the funnier.
And you keep botting. You've got bottle Europa anyway, so you're gonna
watch the Portuguese team in the knockout phase.
That is a good point. Like Arteta in European football, it hasn't gone well. But I think part of that is because like he never really prioritised that Europa League massively.
Yeah, I get that. So it's like rotation, wouldn't it? Whereas you don't rotate.
Yeah.
How many campaigns has he even had? 2, 1 night.
The first one, and last season
he made sure he didn't get into it for a couple of years. I think.
Yeah. Just didn't fancy it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, only 1 year I think.
Oh, there isn't a lot of evidence.
Back to about 8th.
FA Cup.
Oh, what? So you got Europe? You just got dunked out again.
So do you think in a one-off game you beat over 2 legs? You beat City and Madrid? I don't.
I would have a go against Madrid. The one scary thing there is Vinny against anyone who's not Reece James. Pretty much, it's just like that can change. I would be worried against Madrid, obviously, but I think we'd like control the game and would have like a good chance. City with De Bruyne, that's scary. Because like,
I don't know if you control the game against City.
The English team factor I think comes into, but Real Madrid, you bring up something interesting there, is because I think a lot of, especially probably younger Arsenal fans, they haven't really watched Champions League football. They don't really. They don't.
Well,
you see them online, they talk.
That isn't even a dig.
They'll sit there and they'll say like, bring us Real Madrid. And I think, you don't know how this works.
No, you don't.
You can have all the XG and all this shit, and they'll just pluck a goal out their arse with individual quality, and you'll be sitting there going, but we've dominated.
2006, 2 clean sheets against Real Madrid.
Madrid
ran through him, boffed Ronaldo off.
Mate, Madrid and the Champions League are just different gravy. Like they're
Except
just
2006 when we smashed them up 1-0.
They're just like they have a weird
fetish.
It doesn't matter how good you think you are. You come up against them and they just do things. Also, that doesn't even make sense.
You can't really predict a Real Madrid against another top team. It's like, okay, they'll probably just win.
Would you even back yourself against Bayern, like player for player?
That's a good shout.
I think you go Bayern, don't you?
Yeah. Because
if you're doing it on paper,
I reckon like their midfield isn't like
11 versus 11.
What, Bayern Arsenal?
I'm not sure about
Bayern,
that. I think
it's pretty close.
I reckon more Bayern players would get in there.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I thought you
were.
I was like,
no. Yeah, more Bayern.
But I reckon we'd set the midfield up and win that battle. And I'm not sure how Kane again like.
I think it's closer than you think though. But Arsenal Bayern. I think that'd be a good
Kimmich
game.
is kind of washed twast.
I think Bayern Arsenal, if you did a combined 11, would be maybe like 7-4.
Yeah, I'm supporting Tuchel and Kane.
Yeah,
I can't let Kane have a trophy.
No, I kind of.
If we got him in the final and gave Kane a trophy,
and also there's a little element of me thinking, what if actually, if if Bayern won Champions League, I don't know if they'll win the league because obviously Xabi Alonso's doing well, but like if they were to win the Champions League, one, he'd feel very vindicated with his move. Two, I like Tuchel, but three, if he goes and like does well in the Euros as well, Ken could have a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Ken could have a Ballon d'Or.
Start this season, I predict. I said Bayern will win the treble. We'll win the Euros and he'll win the Ballon d'Or.
What if Real
Obviously, they're not
Madrid
the treble,
win
but
Champions League
Leverkusen
and we win
will.
the Euros and Jude wins Ballon d'Or?
Bellingham will get it in that case, yeah.
That would be unreal.
Yeah.
I'd rather that.
If City do back-to-back trebles and really win there is this.
I hate that
Is
concept.
Foden up for Ballon d'Or?
No.
If we win the Euros and he has a
What,
good
if
Euros.
we win
Yeah,
Euros,
just because I
then-
think Foden's
You
been their
reckon?
best player so far.
But
so.
otherwise, I reckon De Bruyne will win it.
Nah, I don't
Unless
reckon,
someone has like an insane Euros.
No,
'cause
Kevin
big
can't miss half
tournaments
the
always-
season, and actually Messi just won it, so maybe.
I don't
But
think
oh yeah, it's the season now. Isn't
if
it?
we
It's not
win
the
if we
year.
win the Euros and City win the treble, I don't think Foden wins Ballon d'Or.
They might give it to Haaland out of pure like.
That's what will happen.
He probably should have won.
It would
Yeah.
depend. If
Yeah.
Foden had a really good
Yeah.
Euros, he would win.
Yeah, if he like carried us, which I think he will, but he
It's
might.
wild how much team achievements affects
Yeah,
it.
don't
Because
we?
Yeah.
we're dead serious when we
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah,
If this
yeah.
team win this and this team win
Yeah,
this,
then he'll get it. Yeah.
Well, like
Well, Arsenal win the Champions League, so it doesn't matter. And then we're going to win the Euros, and Declan Rice is winning the Ballon d'Or.
for passing
Imagine that.
sideways and kicking
Should we
shins.
move
Mate,
on
he
from
runs.
Arsenal?
He runs.
He does kick some shins.
He
though,
runs.
I give him
Oh,
that.
so realistically, where do we think Arsenal are going to come? Champions League. I reckon you might get. I reckon you'll get past Porto, and then I reckon you might.
I
fall
think
the
your
quarters.
first ever quarter,
could happen.
first quarter since 2010 would be a
Yeah, I
good
agree.
achievement.
I
for a
agree.
club
Oh,
that's-
that's
club
what's
like
going to happen.
Arsenal
But
is-
it's not easy to go to Portugal get a result.
Nah, they'll
they
beat
travel
Porto,
in
bro.
numbers.
Yeah,
They'll beat Porto.
For Arsenal,
It's just
that's
not
a-
a given.
It's
Look
not a
at
given.
Sporting
We lost to
last
Sporting
year.
last
Yeah,
year.
it's
Look
not
at
given, but
Sporting
Arsenal are better than
sorry,
Porto.
like you got.
But it's just no
You got
excuse.
Arsenal are favourites for sure.
No, but there isn't an excuse.
No.
Like it's like when we got Porto in the quarters. I was just like,
Liverpool.
you have to go
we're
through.
through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like you
Yeah.
don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's
yeah.
not like, that's not disrespectful to Porto, but the amount of money that your team spends or whatever,
Yeah.
you should be at a high level
Yeah.
naturally. And they're not a bad side.
Obviously,
But
yeah, they're a good team, and obviously it's
the away
possible,
leg will be a bit
but,
tough,
yeah,
but
yeah.
like you should have enough.
I
Yeah,
think
we should
you
beat them like 2-0 away, and then
I think you beat
Yeah.
Porto and then maybe lose to one of the best teams in the quarters.
Depends who you
Personally,
get.
if you get
Because
them.
it's not even bracketed yet, is it?
No, it could be anyone.
This is
It's
just
all
wilder than
momentum.
anyone, yeah.
Both times we've won it, we've sacked managers
but
midway through.
that's
like,
the thing you
it's all
say,
momentum.
like
Yeah,
that
that's
when you
mad.
said about like the Liverpool result, like it might
It's
not
the right
necessarily
time.
G us up for a title charge.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be in the race for until we bottle it.
What would you rather win?
Champions League.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a question.
Yeah.
Because even it's like obviously
Should never
winning
done
the
it.
league, but even like if we could go invincible again, because Arsenal fans always go invincible. Even let's say they are equal, which we're not going to have that discussion, but I don't think they are equal. Obviously, I'd rather win the Champions League regardless.
Would you rather go invincible or win the Champions League?
Champions League, yeah.
Oh, it's not
So
even
you're
close.
It's not even close.
No,
Yeah.
I just needed him to say it. I knew the answer.
What would you
Well,
rather
no,
win?
no,
As a
I don't
top
want
side,
to
would you rather
anger
win
the
next year?
Arsenal fans,
Oh,
but
mate,
it's true.
I,
isn't it?
no, people don't. The Champions League is a different thing. Like you said, with
Yeah.
the Invincible thing, that comes from a place that they haven't experienced it,
Yeah.
and that is all it is. Because
Yeah.
if you ask any other fan, I reckon maybe some Liverpool fans, just because they went so long without winning
Yeah.
the league, and they've Champions League they had quite a few times.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like
Liverpool
for,
fans
for
said
me,
Yeah, the
it's
feeling
Champions-
Champions League winning is unreal.
Champions League it's just different.
Yeah, it does.
The only
it is
thing
different.
is like if I was like Real Madrid, I'd be like, I want an invincible season because that's another thing they've
Yeah,
done.
they've
when
done-
they're not.
they've done
But they've done it
Just
so many
ticking
times.
boxes.
But it's
Yeah.
like because like Milan have an invincible season, they got all those Champions Leagues and stuff. Like I think that being able to say you've kind of got everything is really really good.
Yeah.
Juve as well have an invincible season, but yeah, but no, as an Arsenal fan, I think he's just lying.
Yeah.
You want
Is
to
it,
win it.
but it's fun, isn't it? Being able to talk about the Champions League in your club. How long has it been?
Don't bully me.
Seriously as well.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's especially because even when we were in it, it's like I never. It's like okay, we'll get Bayern, lose
Yeah,
6
that's
0
what I
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Whereas you actually have a chance.
yeah.
That wasn't
whereas
banter, by the way.
having-
That's,
no, I know.
That's serious.
But having a chance and like, or believing you have a chance, again, we'll probably just get knocked out in the quarters.
Hope
And
it
I'm
kills
not,
you, Gary.
and this isn't even from a place of being outside of it. Like it is the weakest Champions League I think I've seen in a long time. Like in terms of who's realistically winning it.
That's the strongest 'cause
City-
ever.
City.
Yeah, I know because you're in it, but like if we actually just look at it objectively,
yeah.
right? City, you think they're
Favourites.
probably the best team in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real Madrid, having lost Benzema and everything, they're not quite what Real Madrid usually are.
Bayern.
Like, Bellingham's good, but they're
Bellingham,
not quite what they were.
Ballingham.
Yeah.
Bayern,
Don't know what that was.
second in the Bundesliga, they win that every year. So, I mean, they have actually
That's
had quite a good
They
start to
actually-
the year.
yeah,
In fact,
they
I think
look
it was,
quite
I
good,
think they've had a
yeah.
better statistical start to the season than they have ever under Pep.
Yeah, I
which
saw
is-
that
which is
start.
No. They
More
had
points.
they've got 2 years under Pep where they've had a better start.
Okay.
Okay.
But
whatever
it's
it
the
was.
6th best Bundesliga
Thanks for
start
ruining
ever.
my stat.
And then Xabi Alonso at Leverkusen is the 3rd best start ever,
Ever.
Right.
which is crazy.
PSG aren't the team they were,
well.
or
P-
PSG won't win it. They won't win
PSG
it.
are-
They're
would
on a
slap
rebuild,
him.
aren't
PSG
they?
are
And
just
slap
a
them.
mess.
Yeah, you would. I think you would slap them.
And
I
then
agree.
you've kind of got Arsenal and maybe Inter Milan as an outsider. Atletico are always there or thereabouts because
that's-
Simeone can shit.
Let's move on to that. The dark horse for the Champions League, because that tie, Inter versus Atletico, really gets me
It's a shame they've got each
excited.
other. I think.
Yeah, it is.
That tie gets you going, does it?
It really does get me going, because I love like those like underdog kind of team. It seems disrespectful because Inter have obviously won the Champions League and Atletico have got to finals like more recently than Arsenal. So, but I'm not. But like obviously they're not the favourites or anything. I think the winner of that is like the dark horse. And
I agree.
If not for Arsenal, I don't want Inter to win it. I want Atletico to beat Inter, and then I want to root.
It's going to be a scrap, isn't it? That game's going to be a scrap.
Arsenal, not Arsenal.
I would love Atletico. So I'd love Simeone to win it. I think Simeone deserves it.
Yeah.
He would shit out a 1-0 win
and
in the
he was
final.
so close to
and
winning
it was one last minute equaliser, another one on pens.
Yeah.
And that was what people disrespect Simeone because obviously it's looked at as just like their shit house, and they are.
Yeah.
And I
They
like
are
how he
shit
makes their
house.
players just bastards and everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the fact that he won a league while Messi, Ronaldo, and those Barca Real Madrid teams were
Yeah,
at their peak.
that's-
Like he won a
Yeah,
league
yeah,
during
dumb.
that period.
That's
That in
dumb.
itself is
It's
nuts, let alone
ridiculous.
winning another one.
Yeah.
And he did it with like David Villa and Suarez, who were handed off from Barca
Yeah,
both
yeah.
times.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
he's
Yeah.
and they have spent, but like he's I
Griezmann
love him.
time now.
Yeah.
Griezmann's time. That would be sick. If
I
Griezmann
want-
wins it at Atletico, that would be sick.
That's
I
wild.
want him
Yeah.
to like because he doesn't have a league title either.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it? Because the
Yeah,
years he
it's
bounced
Barca's
around
thing.
at Atletico
Yeah.
to Barca, he went the wrong way basically,
Yeah, yeah.
and the other one won it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
mad.
So he deserves like because he's got like World Cup and stuff like that.
Ropers
He's got an
and-
amazing
yeah.
career, but if he could win a Champions League for Atletico, like we have to really start talking and putting respect on his name as like one of the best players of his generation. Like, and I mean like properly up there because I think he's right up there.
That is a crazy
World
I
Cup,
think
stat.
he is one of the most
the
underrated.
international
Yeah.
tournaments he's had back to back to back.
We had this conversation the other day, didn't we? Like Griezmann is one of the most underrated players, 100%.
Yeah.
The fact he's not won a La Liga title was actually bonkers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's so weird.
Also,
Yeah,
in
that's right.
different positions, like you touched on there with France.
Mm.
Like, he was playing in midfield in that last
Yeah,
World
yeah.
Cup.
Yeah,
Like, he's
yeah.
kind of
Like
done,
in the middle.
He's
gone
done the
through
10.
shift.
He's played off left,
Yeah.
played off right.
He's
centre
played
forward.
just
middle.
I
in
would
the
like-
eight as well.
I'm
Like,
going to throw it out there. I would like to see at some point a team with Bernardo Silva and Griezmann in it. Just because I think they're just maybe
Yeah.
two of the most versatile players I've seen in terms of like they can just
Stick him at
they
wing
can do
backs, I reckon.
everything.
Stick him at wing backs.
But like Bernardo Silva
Just-
played at fullback at some point.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
Pep was like, you're
Yeah,
gonna
like,
do the inverted
honestly,
fullback.
Griezmann under Pep would have been an interesting
That'd be
to see.
sick.
Yeah.
Griezmann and Pep would be so
Silva
good.
wing
Yeah,
backs.
he's a very smart player. I agree with that. It'd be quite nice from his perspective as well.
Allegri would do it.
And also Dave's there. Fucking
He
Dave,
is. Oh
Dave's
yeah,
still kicking
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Aspie would be.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
He's got the pedigree.
He can win another one.
He's
He's
a
got
he's a
pedigree.
proper.
Has he got a Champions League title with blue ribbons on?
Probably.
No, Dave wouldn't have a
Proper
tattoo.
Chelsea.
Dave's got
Nah.
his shirt tucked in.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
No,
not
he's-
What a
doing
boy.
that.
So what? Dark horse. You what? You said Atletico or Inter?
Yeah, I think Atletico. They're both like. I think Inter is so good this season.
It's
but
such a shame they have each other because
Yeah,
they could be
yeah, I
the
agree.
kryptonite of so many
so
sides.
that's the thing. If like, I really one on ones because Arsenal could have had Inter. That was the one I was like, I really don't want them because I think Arsenal, genuinely speaking, are a slightly better team than Inter, but.
Certain times have your number.
Yeah,
Certain
exactly.
types of
It's
games
that
do it,
it's that kind of game where they would sit back, we would like struggle to break down their low block, and they're so good at countering. Marcus Thuram would just kill us on the counter, and and I reckon they would.
I can see it like
they'd beat
Gabriel
us.
hitting the floor when he goes Martinez. Like, you can see that though. That's very Arsenal. That's a good shout.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's a shame they got each other. I would have actually quite liked to see. Obviously, they couldn't have drawn, but Inter versus City over 2 legs.
Yeah.
That final was actually,
Yeah.
you know, if it wasn't for Big Fat Rom, you know, if it was someone with a bit of brain
Yeah,
about
we-
it,
he
we
fucked
could
it
have,
up.
we could
like,
have at least looking at extra
that
time.
could have been extra time.
Rom fucked up, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as
He's
much
got
as
blood in his hands for that treble, wouldn't he?
it felt like a foregone conclusion because you were like, "I City are going to beat them."
Yeah.
But when you actually think of that game, like
Which the game, it was a
it
really
was
good
very
final.
tight.
It was
and
very
there
tight.
There really
Yeah.
wasn't a lot. It
It
wasn't
was
like City
very
were
tight.
missing chances and they won.
That game
1-0.
is why
Yeah.
we're not in the Champions League anymore, man. Told us Onana. Onana puts in an all-timer in the group stage. Here I am now talking about Champions League without my club in it.
I think it
It's
is.
just-
I would call that Onana campaign the reverse Benzema.
Oh,
Like it is the worst individual Champions League campaign of all time.
100%.
Yeah.
It is. It was so clutch for every other team in the group.
Like,
It was
it's
so
almost
bad.
impressive.
He was chucking the ball in his net
And, like,
every week.
Yeah.
Last month, Dill was
Or
trying to defend the guy.
fortnightly.
Like his Champions League group stage was honestly horrific.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Can you
it's-
think of a worse one?
He made hacking.
I don't think you can.
I honestly
I
don't-
genuinely
every
not,
game-
not a group stage.
Every game
No.
there was a howler.
Yeah,
There was a
yeah.
howler in every game.
Yeah.
He managed
Galatasaray,
to make
Copenhagen.
Hakim Ziyech have a really good game.
Yeah.
And that is
Bayern,
fucking no
oh,
mean
it's
feat.
so bad. It's every game.
Yeah.
Definitely every away game. I haven't even thought about the home ones yet.
Yeah. I mean, Galatasaray went home.
Yeah, he got
Oh, you
lost.
did?
Yeah, yeah.
That's 4 out of 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
He was
That's
fucking.
wild.
But it's funny because
Should be
he obviously
banned.
had that like very good year with Inter, but like, and everyone was like, oh, he's like incredible, and I was like,
He was okay at Ajax. He was good at Ajax.
He
was
very good. Error ridden at Ajax.
Yeah.
And I thought, at Inter, okay, he's kind of got used to that. Like he's got that out of his system. But then you go back and you see it's like, now they've got in Jan Sommer, who's like a decent keeper.
Yeah.
He looks pretty much just as good just with that long passing. It looks better in terms of like shot stopping and stuff like that. And then you're like, their defense kind of just hid his flaws.
Yeah. Another
he's
game
in the Champions League
is untouched so far is Barca and Napoli.
Well, yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
So who are you supporting, Gary?
Obviously, it's going to be supporting Napoli. Obviously.
Says sat in a
But
Barcelona
I want to know
Valdo's
because
big fan
no
of
one really
Valdo.
feels this in. Like Napoli have gone from winning the league and a really good side
off a cliff.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
They're like, where are they? 6th or 7th?
Look at him. Everything's fine,
How's
guys.
that, okay, so talk to me. How's that happened?
No.
They lost a couple of players to Saudi, or one player to Saudi, and Spurti left.
No one went to Saudi in the end. Well, we tried to get Gabri Vega, and then he ended up going to Saudi.
Yeah. So Zielinski's already going to Inter. That's
he was going to go to Saudi,
Yeah.
but he stayed and was like, I don't want to leave Naples, and now he's going to Inter. So it's like, okay, cool.
maybe he
Snake.
meant Italy.
Yeah, I think his wife just didn't want to go live in Saudi, basically.
So what's happened with Kvaratskhelia? Because everyone was going on about him last year, and you don't really see anything of him this season.
Kvara's season has actually been super underrated. Do you remember, like, it's not to the level, like, because Napoli aren't as bad as like what Chelsea were. You remember, like, certain times that Hazard would be like so isolated and then would pick up the ball and then do something. To a smaller extent, obviously, Kvara's kind of been doing that this season, but he's been so isolated to the extreme at times that, like, there's only so much you can do. But I think he's still averaging, like, a goal and assist every other game, which when, like, with Osimhen going to AFCON and then being injured and stuff, he's not been there the entire time. He's kind of had nobody really to work with.
Milkman's not delivering.
Yeah, the midfield's so disjointed. Like, at the start of the season, Politano was, like, popping off, and, like, I was like, okay, at least he's coming good. But then he completely went away as well. Kvara's really, and he could have like so many more goals and assists and stuff if people were putting away their chances. He had this spell where he like hitting the post constantly and stuff like that, just from like long shots and stuff. So he's actually been very unlucky, and I think he's still like, you can still see the quality. And actually, in a way, he's impressed me more this season than last season because it's so much harder. Last season the team was like unreal and right. Whereas now his like in terms of like his stats haven't dropped off that much, but it's just like he doesn't get as much of a chance to show what he's about, and also he's so isolated, but he's being doubled up on in quite a lot of games as well.
Yeah, I feel like last year he was more of an unknown quantity, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No one knew how good he was, whereas this year the defenders they know how good he is.
Those Liverpool games.
He was unreal.
Yeah, he was just tearing them apart. I mean, it was
like,
Joe Guzzi,
I remember
but there you
when
go.
Liverpool played away, it was like 4-1 or something.
Yeah,
something
4-1.
like
Trent
I remember thinking, who's this 77?
Yeah.
Like, and then I think it was H had made a video on it. And I was like, okay, that makes a bit of sense.
Before anyone could say his name.
Yeah, just Kvara.
Still can't say it.
Yeah.
Kvara Donomy.
Yeah, but so you'd say loss of Kim was a big one.
Yeah, I mean
that was the big
and the
departure,
manager, I suppose.
Yeah, well, on the pitch, Kim is such a big loss because it's not just the defense that suffers, and in that it's the left back who's not great at defending. Rahmani, his centre back partner, who he made look very good and actually is just all right,
average.
Yeah, and then also Di Lorenzo is so good at going forward, but like he was able to do that because there was a bit more cover for him. But also the midfield, there's no ball winner and stuff. So Kim would often come into the midfield, win the ball, be aggressive, and also then play passes. He had the ability to do that as well. So he took like so much strain off the midfield. Whereas now midfield just gets bypassed, and it's his replacement as well. In terms of the signing, is Nathan, who looks like a good young player, but he's not quite ready. But most games it's been Juan Jesus, who's not good, like really not good.
Name, though.
So he sounds. Oh, Juan Jesus, that
sounds class.
He must have a bit about him.
Yeah, no, he's shit. He's proper shit. And so it's like going from like a genuinely world class centre back to someone who really would struggle to look good in like a lower half Serie A team. And so it's such a drop off in that sense. But yeah, the manager as well, Spalletti, is probably the biggest one because he brought the system together. I think if he had stayed, I think he would have been able to manage that loss of Kim better. Not in terms of competing with Inter right at the top. But I think Napoli would be Napoli would be around probably where Milan are now, like a few points behind the top teams, but like in the top four and nailed on for that. And I still think Napoli can get top four.
Barca, Xavi's leaving it in the season. That's all announced now. So that's an interesting.
I think it'll be close, but I think over 2 legs, I think Barca's squad is.
I think they'll just the midfield with Napoli. I wanted to come on here and in the Barca shirt, talk shit about Barca and be like, oh, but realistically, their midfield's just going to tear Napoli apart.
I don't think Barca get much further than the quarters personally, but I think they'd beat Napoli.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Barcelona are struggling.
Xavi has a very bad Europe record. I know they won the league, but like, so maybe I don't know. Because we knocked them out. If it was last year, you'd be saying like Napoli will beat these.
If Napoli were to have a really good home leg, going away, if you just need a draw or something, I could see it. But even like when Napoli played Real Madrid earlier this season, both games, I think Napoli were quite competitive and unlucky not to win. Really, one of them, the away one, and obviously Real Madrid, like they're just clutch in Europe. That's what they do.
Yeah,
but. So Napoli to have even shown this season, like against those bigger teams, the Spanish like giants and stuff, can turn up. So maybe I need to give a bit more credit than, especially because Napoli like trialed out like a 3/5 at the back with wing backs and stuff. Maybe that's the way to kind
get Conte in.
Do a job on he.
No, just get men behind the ball. Barcelona run out of ideas quickly. It's really strange watching them.
Yeah,
it is. No runners in behind.
I think those are the best ties.
And Osimhen will be back for those.
Milan, Atletico and Napoli, Barca, they're the two ties. Every other tie, I think, is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. City going to batter Copenhagen, aren't they?
No, I don't think it's...
They're doing back-to-back trebles?
Yes.
I can't even call it an easy tie, because they're the reason we're not going through the group stage, or Copenhagen.
I think City are going to win them both, back-to-back treble.
City will
really
smash Copenhagen.
Back-to-back trebles.
I think so, mate. Mate, you got to think about it. Think about it. They're on the run they're on now is prime Pep, where they don't lose a game for 15 games in the league, so they'll win the league by 8 points. Champions League, who's gonna stop City Champions League?
I'm worried it's them. English clubs, when they get English clubs, I'd want City to avoid. If you want
loves
City
a bottle
to win
job in Europe.
Arsenal,
I'd much rather City win it.
But I also think now they'll start to hoover up quite a lot of them. It's the first one that's the hardest.
Yeah.
I'd much rather
getting over, because I think the record for teams that debut in their first final, like everyone loses it.
Yeah.
Everyone loses their first Champions League
Did
final.
Pep back-to-back the Champions League at Barca?
No, it was 2 years apart. Inter won it as sandwich between.
I would much rather City back-to-back the treble than Arsenal win the Champions League.
Oh yeah,
100%.
City winning's not
real. What would you rather?
It's chilled.
Yeah, City win it again.
Because obviously, because they don't really care that much about City. But as a United fan, what would you rather?
I don't want City to do anything ever. Like, this isn't a.
Our hatred for Arsenal is more than his for City.
I mean, Arsenal fans are annoying online, but ultimately, it doesn't really, as a United fan, it doesn't really mean anything.
Okay.
Honestly, I think FA Cup.
It's a London club, isn't it? It's just.
Yeah, but I also.
But most of your fan base is from London.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true.
I'm not too
far.
far.
You're a London club.
I'm not too far. I'm one of them.
Yeah, you're closer.
I didn't. Nah, the rivalry between United and Arsenal was just one on competition from Wenger Fergie.
And you got more Champions Leagues.
That's where it comes from. Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything. Whereas City, I don't want City to do anything. They're catching up too fast, man.
Yeah, I mean, if they did this, they'd be one Champions League away
One Champions League off.
Yeah, that's mad. In 2 years, back to back.
And the leagues are racking up by the year.
Yeah. And that treble that you keep banging on about, they would have 2 and be like, okay, it's not really that special.
Do you think they'll go back to back?
I mean, they're favourites, aren't they?
They're favourites for every competition.
They're favourites in every competition.
Yeah, they're the best team in the world, aren't they?
I don't think anyone's better than them.
But they could still lose.
But like Champions League is a weird one. Like
Pep could Pep.
The best team doesn't always win Champions League. We've not been the best team in the world.
Every year we won it. We weren't the best.
City have probably been the best team in the world for like the last 5 years.
Yeah, true.
Won, so.
Yeah, it's valid. Yeah, I just think at the moment they're on that fucking roll, and like you said, they got the momentum of the first one. They know how to win it now.
Yeah.
I think Prem is destined to be City again.
They're not. City are not as good this year.
Back-to-back trebles.
I'd argue. I think the FA Cup's the one that I think they might not retain.
Maybe,
because they won't take it as seriously or whatever.
I agree.
Like
partly that, and the schedule always means that Champions League is there or thereabouts when you play in the semis or whatever. And Liverpool in it, I think, with everything that's happening in the club.
They're talking about winning a quad.
They're talking about winning a quad,
not the quad.
Yeah, we're going to ruin it in February.
No. I mean,
probably not.
We're definitely
please do.
But it would be hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. Like they'll be up for that FA Cup. We only have cups to play for, so we might be up for it a bit. I'm not saying we'd beat them.
We'll be up for the Carabao Cup final, but that's nothing really.
Who else is still in it?
Arsenal and Tottenham are both out.
United is still in it. They'll be up for getting. They don't want to. Well, I thought they'd be up for the last FA Cup final, and they
just squeezed past Newport.
We squeezed past Newport in the second half.
Yeah, you ain't winning it, boy. You ain't winning that.
Anthony.
It's goal and assist against Newport.
Yeah, mate, he's found his level.
I was quite happy for him. Go online and everyone's like, "Oh, he's found his level."
Genuinely, last night I was talking to you about Mark Pugh.
Yeah.
Mark Pugh has a better goal and assist per 90 record than Anthony. He used to play for Hereford.
Where the fuck does that come from?
In the Premier League.
Boys, we're in the Champions League podcast. What about Mark Pugh for?
Yeah, no, he's better than Anthony.
Yeah,
he does more off the outside of that as well. Like he's just a better player than Anthony.
Valid.
I'm trying to think who we haven't really touched on in terms of Champions League.
Who's going to flop?
I've got kind of a...
I've got an obvious one. I don't even...
This could easily come back to bite me, right? But I think Real Madrid.
I agree. I was about to say.
Yeah, I think they could go out in like the quarters or something.
Yeah.
And
why?
I don't.
There's just something about when I watched Real Madrid this season, like them against. I think they squeezed past like Barca. Remember like Bellingham with the long shot goal.
Yeah.
They've been losing to like Atleti and stuff. I think in those bigger games they haven't like convinced me. Granted, that's mainly what I've watched.
The reverse opinion on Arsenal.
Yeah, and like, but obviously it's the Champions League, so it could easily come back and bite me. But I just think if they get like a Bayern, a City, again, I'm going
to go one further. I think Atletico are going to knock out Real Madrid.
I'd love that.
I think finally Simeone might get his reward. You know,
when was the last time?
They've had clashes with Real Madrid in semi-finals. I remember one where Benzema kept it on the line with that brilliant bit of skill. Obviously, the finals they had together.
Morata to score the winner.
This pod has maybe convinced me. Maybe
I can't see it.
I think I'm going to back Atletico.
What, to win it?
Yeah, win the whole fucking thing. I want him to win it.
Chelsea aren't in it, so you picked the most like Chelsea, tiny club.
Palmy was like, all season. No, but they're kind of us. They're like shit. They're like bastards. That's what I loved about Chelsea.
You love Simeone.
I love him. I love the bloke.
I love Simeone when he is.
I kind of wanted Tuchel because of that, but then the more I think about it, I'm like, I do fucking love them. And I kind of think they deserve it in a way.
They do deserve it, yeah.
I think that's hard to disagree.
Because he deserves to be in... when you actually talk about the best managers of all time, and it's always people will go, Mourinho, Pep, Ferguson, Wenger, Klopp, no one really says to me. Like I said, he won a league at the peak of the El Clasico rivalry.
When you think about like Mourinho doing what he did with Porto, I think what... Simeone did with Atleti in winning that league was kind of just as impressive because of the competition he was up against. That Champions League that Mourinho won at Porto, I think that was probably the weakest Champions League ever, really. Because all the big boys went out and like their run. I think the only really like top team they beat was like United, and that United weren't even like amazing at that point. I think he finished third in the league that year. Yeah. It's like one of Fergie's like worst seasons. So yeah, like I'm not discrediting it, but I think to be able to overcome those two giants when they were like really, really good and like not just compete but actually go one further. And they reached the Champions League final that year as well. They could have done the double, couldn't they?
Yeah, they knocked us out in 2014.
Yeah. So I think that's probably like just as impressive from just a pure manager. Obviously, you want to win the Champions League and stuff like that, but just from a managerial.
It's the coaching, man. Like the example I always think of is I thought Kieran Trippier was a clown when he was at Spurs.
Yeah.
I thought defensively he was so suspect.
He always had a good delivery.
Yeah. And then he went to Atletico Madrid and he just came back a different player.
Yeah, he came back a man.
Like, I know he's had a weak period the last month.
He's forgotten it.
Maybe the further away from Simeone, the more he's forgotten.
And he's popped back for a bit.
When he came back, it was like, he's solid.
You remember at Bournemouth, Eddie Howe, his problem was always, I can't read defence. He went to Simeone,
studied with him, didn't he?
Worked with him and like learned his ways and came back and took Newcastle from like relegation battle to top four within like...
Back to relegation battle.
Well, mid-table.
But back to your point of Madrid though, I'm trying to think when the last time that Madrid did flop in the Champions League.
We're probably looking at like pre-Ronaldo.
Yeah. No.
Actually, no. Ajax. It was Ajax.
Yeah.
2019.
And that's like, I just don't. Madrid in the Champions League are just a fucking different animal. I just can't see how.
I just think a lot of the old ones. It was the Benjamins, etc. They're losing a bit of it.
But Bellingham does still have that, and Vinny as well in those big games. That always seems to turn out.
I think Madrid, unless they draw City beforehand, I think Madrid gets to the final. Personally,
I think when you've got Carlo's got a brain, so they don't have Kepa in goal. They have Lunin in goal. But
Kepa's been dropped.
I think
he's not amazing.
I think
either.
That's a big not having. If they had Courtois, and I think they've had a couple of ACLs. Was it
when's he
Militao? Like in Premier League, we can sometimes get a bit blindsided by Van Dijk, Saliba. These are the best centre backs of the world. Militao and Rudiger are still there, and they're some of the top centre backs of the world. So to miss him and the keeper,
Alava's playing centre half, solid though. I just think if Madrid don't draw City, I think they get to the final.
Now we'll smash them.
I think Bayern.
I
can smell it a bit. It could be one of those weird years where like Bayer Leverkusen win the league and Bayern just do really well.
I agree. I was going to say that if Leverkusen
man for man, Bayern are as good as anyone. It's like everyone's fit.
The midfield's not that good. It's the thing.
I agree, but they've got that coach.
And he loves the Champions League.
He does love the Champions League.
But yeah, Simeone I think is an interesting. I think Atletico Simeone.
So that's your prediction.
So you're actually going to predict Atletico?
Yeah.
Well, do you think Real Madrid or City?
If they meet before the final, I think Madrid will win it. If they meet in the final, I think City will do it.
So he thinks Madrid will win it as well.
That's
Real.
So we've got two Atletico Madrids.
I'm going to go Bayern because I just the Harry Kane Ballon d'Or. Man.
I'm going to say Arsenal.
The Harry Kane Ballon d'Or. Harry Kane's not winning his trophy. Have you seen how the season's been going? They got smacked up by like some.
Who did they lose to
Why
in the other
did
cup
you
final?
just smile at me and say Harry Kane's not winning a trophy when you sat here at the beginning and said Arsenal are going to win the Champions League? What's more unlikely?
It's Harry Kane not winning the trophy. We got to a final before. So did he, but
So who are you
no,
predicting?
he didn't get there. He just appeared in.
You're going to say Arsenal, aren't you? Obviously.
I'm going to back Arsenal, but I'll say my
Wouldn't surprise
non-Arsenal one. I will.
I just can't say City. So.
There is part of me that like just thinks like Atleti might like.
Not convincing you.
No,
It's the narrative.
Yes,
He deserves
he
it.
is.
I
It's
really.
that time. Griezmann's
if
fight,
not
you know
for
what I mean?
Arsenal, and obviously I don't think Napoli again. I'm just going to disregard Napoli. But like, if not for Arsenal, like I would like it to be Atleti, and it's like Griezmann. I think he's so good, and like I think it's the thing with me in Champions League. What always influences me massively is like how you do in the big games, and like again the fact that they beat Real. They've just impressed me a lot this season, especially in those like kind of games. And I just know that like in the Champions League games they can turn up, and I think they've got a bit more quality going forward. They play a bit nicer football, but they haven't lost that kind of like Simeone-ness, you know.
Yeah, and Morata's actually, that's my only doubt is that when I think of
balling
big
out.
pressure and everything, he's actually.
I've always backed him.
I haven't.
Oh, God.
He was stinking at Chelsea, mate. He was
Yeah,
stinking
And
at
had a
Chelsea.
good
mentality-wise,
start.
he was such
He had a
a
good
soft.
start.
He did, but he was such a soft shite.
Yeah, he
when
was.
his head went down. But
Yeah.
if anyone's going to get that out of you, it's probably Simeone.
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest.
Beat it out of
yeah.
him, innit? Fucking
Yeah.
come on, have
So-
our own.
I mean,
Finger out.
even with before his like goal scoring form came back, he's been playing way better since he went back to.
He scored
Atleti.
goals.
He,
You don't-
suits the way
yeah,
they play.
I wonder
so
how-
You don't play for Simeone unless you have like little
Yeah.
bit of dog or that bite.
Yeah, I
in you,
agree.
Because you just won't get
I
selected.
wonder how
so you,
João Felix would feel about the whole situation.
That'd be so
Ooh,
funny.
yeah,
Imagine they like
interesting.
got him in like the quarters or something, and like just
He can probably play
Dish
though.
Barca
They-
away.
Well, he did score one, didn't he? And
Yeah,
celebrate, but he's on
yeah,
loan.
yeah.
technically,
he's
wasn't he?
he's leaving.
Those
though,
Spanish
isn't
loans are weird though,
He'll
'cause you can
definitely
play
leave.
against your own club, can't you?
yeah.
he? Yeah, but he'll definitely leave.
It's not that the Spanish ones are weird. In England, they add the clause, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
In Spain, they just
Yeah,
don't
they
add
just
the
don't do
clause.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Right,
think
so you've gone winners of Atletico as well.
I'm going to be honest. Winners City.
You've gone
I-
City.
you,
Put your pride to the side, Dan.
yeah.
Come on, when you
I
won,
think
we
it's
need-
like
Go on
if-
8 times
we
today.
need one team.
because it could be like City are obviously the favourites, but
There you go.
I'm going to say Arsenal,
All right.
and obviously
Okay.
there's a bit of bias informing that, and
No,
if
it's
not,
fair.
I'm going to go Atleti like you. Partially, I'm trying to speak it into existence,
Okay, so
but I
you-
do think there's
so
like
you've gone
logic
with 3
behind it.
teams to win it.
Yeah, so you picked
Okay.
3 teams. Brilliant.
Yeah, I'll go.
No,
for
Arsenal
Madrid.
or Atleti.
And you've gone Real Madrid flop. Real Madrid flop.
PSG flop.
They're not really a
God,
flop
they-
anymore.
That's expected. Them flopping is winning it.
What?
Yeah, that's
No,
a
it's in
flop.
like-
No, it is true. Yeah,
flop is always something you
less
don't
likely as them
expect.
winning it.
So,
yeah.
so I've got like one in
Them
five.
flopping.
1 in 5 that could flop, as in like one of the 5 that could potentially.
Well, it's like
win it.
City would flop if they
They're
didn't
not
get.
going to.
I'm going to say Arsenal flop quarterfinals.
Yeah, I'll go. If I'm not allowed PSG, give me Arsenal.
Is it
I'll
a
predict
flop
that as
for
well.
us?
No.
If City draw Arsenal will knock City out.
No, they won't.
I'd take it.
Want to bet?
The
hope
underdog
it
in England,
happens.
England versus England teams, it's weird. I don't want to be right, but I will be right. It doesn't happen very often.
I mean, Arsenal have looked good against City this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, without Kevin.
Yeah, I know
I
it's
still
without
think
Kevin. 2 legs,
Champions
City.
League is weird.
Kevin does always just turn
It could
up
be your
against
sort
us.
of Invincibles moment.
City beat
Like what
Arsenal
we
in a
had, where
2-leg
we were an
game.
inferior side, but
They do.
Oh right, I thought you meant like yeah, I get what you mean.
yeah.
I'm going to go Madrid to win.
Are you not
Madrid,
City?
Madrid to win it.
Bold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
He's
then
going on
for Jude.
pedigree.
England to win the Euros.
Yeah, Jude Ballon d'Or.
Nice.
Would fucking love it.
I would take that just because England
But you
winning
know
something.
that guy will go to superstar. They've already started making it. I don't know which brand. Adidas, isn't it? They've done
Yeah.
like the Jude logo, like Jordan.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
dumb
yeah.
that's happening at this age. Like,
20 years
yeah.
old,
think
man.
of Ronaldo and
That's
Messi.
really,
like,
we haven't even
and they've gone.
touched on,
They've,
we haven't even touched on Mbappe, but they're a boring club, and that's
Yeah.
a boring
Yeah.
transfer, and he'll end up at
Yeah.
Real Madrid, and we're all bored of it. Hurry up, get on with
Just
it.
Get
do
into
it.
Arsenal.
if he
Wild.
doesn't go to Real Madrid, it would make it exciting.
He's
Yeah.
not though. We know it's
If
just
he comes
boring
to the Prem
Fabrizio.
and
Here
we
he
get
goes for 6
Haaland
months.
versus
like,
Mbappe, that would
Him
be
and
amazing.
Vinny play in the same position as well.
Nah, just stick him on the
reckon-
other wing. Stick Mbappe for the middle.
Yeah, but they do at the moment. They do the 2 up front with Jude just behind,
Yeah.
and then those 2 go out wide, and then
Jude
Jude,
through the middle.
goes through the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah,
so
yeah.
it'll probably be. But one of them still has to go right.
Yeah,
Imagine that
Mess.
front three of Mbappe and Vinny with Jude
They
in the
could
hole.
swap.
It's fucking
Yeah.
nuts, isn't it? Yeah.
Like even right, I think that suits him the way that Madrid play now.
He want
No, I think it pushes Vinicius. To be honest,
Vin-
I almost look at it as maybe Vinicius.
Vinny could be
will-
go. Could be
Yeah,
sold.
he could go.
Potentially.
If they sign Mbappe, you reckon he
Because
might be sold?
Mbappe's not, pivot gang.
Vinny
If
is
you remember
the
him putting pivot gang out there, he didn't like playing down the middle.
No,
yeah, no, he
no,
wants
he
to play on the
didn't.
He
left.
wants to play on that left.
The only
Maybe
thing I can think,
you might even end up seeing Haaland and Mbappe at some point. But they got Endrick, I suppose, coming in. So
That's great.
Yeah.
and just gonna
Endrick
figure it
as
into
well.
in a couple of
Oh,
years.
the greatest wonder kid in the world. Yeah,
maybe
brilliant.
I'm wrong that maybe Vinicius will go on the right and Rodrigo will be the one that's a bit shifted.
Yeah, that's
out.
what I was gonna
'Cause he's-
say.
Rodrigo's a
Or he
fucking
could
good
go
player.
like through the middle.
Rodrigo's dumb.
Rodrigo's
good.
a joke
Dumb
of a
Yeah,
player.
yeah. But he can play through the middle
honestly,
very
other
well
than
as
Real
well.
Madrid, he probably Well, he does play a lot for Real Madrid, but I mean, he'd walk into pretty much every team.
Yeah, I'd love him at Arsenal.
Like Mbappe's transfer, we'll wrap that up, won't we?
Well, there you go. That's all our predictions and all that kind of stuff that we're gonna. What is definitely gonna happen in Champions League? What I said.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, they are spoilers. Madrid.
These aren't predictions; they're spoilers.
Paul Heyman.
Do you know how I know you're definitely wrong on your predictions for this year's Champions League? Because 3 teams can't win it. You still didn't stop on one.
Yeah, Arsenal are winning it.
And on that note,
he's wrong.
I'm right. Cheers. We'll see you next week, and also for Football Imposter later this week.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to Football
Vamos.
Be there for that. Warra Football Podcast. Warra Football Podcast. Warra Football Podcast. Oh.